Just in time for the bank holiday weekend, we have our fourth Met Office named storm of the season. Storm Dave is expected to make landfall across the UK on Saturday night, with the strongest winds expected to the northwest, gusts up to 90 miles an hour across the worst hit areas, which is northwestern Scotland. But make no mistake, it is going to be a wet and windy picture for everyone. Let's have a little more detail about where Storm Dave has come from. Cast your eyes west across the pond and you can see very clearly that we've got a very stark temperature contrast sitting across North America. This unusually cold air sitting across more northern parts, contrasting with something comparatively much milder. The effect of that is powering up the jet stream. Now remember, the jet stream is a current of very fast moving air that sits high in the atmosphere, and in its powered up state those winds are travelling at around 200 miles an hour, and the jet stream acts as a sort of is a current of very fast moving air that sits high in the atmosphere, and in its powered up state those winds are travelling at around 200 miles an hour, and the jet stream acts as a sort of conveyor belt for our weather systems, and it's that that's going to be delivering Dave to us on Saturday evening. Now all storms are really just very deep areas of low pressure, and as Storm Dave, as it's now going to be called, heads towards us on Saturday, it undergoes what we would call explosive cyclogenesis, which sounds incredibly cool. You might also hear this referred to as a weather bomb, and it's when that area of low pressure deepens very rapidly as it starts to approach, and when it meets that storm criteria, the certain wind speeds and the impacts, that's when it will be named to increase public awareness. So that's what it is. All storms are a deep area of low pressure, and they're named just to increase awareness of potentially impactful weather. So let's go through that a little bit more slowly then. This is the picture from lunchtime on Saturday. You'll notice Storm Dave roaring across the UK. These weather warnings clicking on and off as it moves past. And you can see it's not just the wind, there's a snow warning as well in force across northern Scotland. By the time we get to lunchtime on Sunday, it is a much calmer picture. The wind's continuing to ease down, and in the south, those winds really start to return to something that feels a little bit more comfortable. But for everyone, it's quite a chilly day, but there will be some brightness in there as well. And again, the risk of something wintry across the higher ground. But have a look ahead to Easter Monday, and it's altogether quite a lot nicer. As you can see, those winds have really eased down. There's lots of really fine weather around for the bulk of the day before the next system brings a return of the cloud and rain, but nothing like what we're going to see on Saturday during the second half of Easter Monday. But all in all, there's some pretty usable weather to be had if you can wait a few days for it. That's it from me. Have a lovely Easter. I'll see you soon.
So by the time we reach this afternoon, a couple of weather warnings in force for wind and also for some heavy rain and snow across the far northwest of Scotland. We could potentially see between 10 to 20 centimetres across northeast Scotland, but across much of England and Wales, yes, it will be a windy Saturday ahead, but actually there's lots of dry weather around, even some sunny spells, and still rather warm, highs reaching around 16 to 17 degrees Celsius. So in any sheltered spots, it should feel rather pleasant for the time of year. But of course, it's a very different story in the northwest, and it's really into this evening that we'll see those winds pick up. A chance we could see peak gusts of between 80 to 90 miles per hour, so a chance of severe gales, particularly around any exposed areas of Scotland. But through the course of this evening, that's where we see the storm shift into the North Sea, so winds will largely be easing away, but still very gusty around eastern coasts of England and also Scotland. And it's not just going to be windy, there's also going to be some very heavy spells of rain. As I say, a chance of blizzard conditions in Scotland for a time as we see snow across high ground. Some very heavy showers also moving through elsewhere across England and Wales. But most of the strong winds and the heavy rain do move through overnight. So by the time we reach Easter Sunday, there's actually going to be lots of dry weather around. Probably still plenty of cloud across the south, some showers, still some snow showers across the northeast of Scotland. And across many areas of the north, quite a chilly start. Lows reaching around the low mid single figures. A little bit milder across the south, but there's still a fairly brisk wind out there first thing on Sunday, which will add on to the chill of things. But actually for Easter Sunday, there'll be lots of dry weather around. The Storm Dave eventually clearing into the North Sea, any winds largely easing away. There'll still be a fairly brisk westerly wind around, and there will still be some showers as well. But it'll be a day of sunshine and showers, so if it does start to chuck it down with the rain, give it a minute or two, and hopefully some drier weather is on its way, and possibly even some sunshine. Not feeling quite as warm as it has done recently. Highs only reaching around 13 degrees Celsius across the south, but still fairly chilly across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. Highs only reaching around 8 degrees Celsius here. But hopefully by Sunday afternoon, lots of good weather around for any Easter egg hunts. Now later on into the evening, we do actually have high pressure building from the south, so plenty of clear skies. That means it's going to be soon turning fairly chilly. Lots of dry weather around actually for Bank Holiday Monday, but notice behind me low pressure is never too far away. So a fairly chilly start on Monday, perhaps even some patchy frost in places, but lots of sunshine around. This turning a little bit hazier from the west as low pressure tries to edge its way in. Still a fairly breezy day on offer as well across many areas of the west, and eventually we will start to see some spells of rain push into Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland, and once again feeling that little bit chillier, but across the London area still fairly warm, highs reaching around 16 degrees Celsius here, but for the most part highs reaching between 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, but on the whole lots of dry weather around if you are off work on Monday. And of course, if you want to know what the weather's doing as we head into next week, well, you can join us right here on YouTube. Bye-bye.